The biggest issue for the Toronto Raptors this season was their lack of depth, and specifically their lack of shooters coming off of the bench. But what if they were able to solve this problem in the 2023 NBA draft rather than in free agency? Well, if they decide to go with a UConn shooting guard by the name of Jordan Hawkins, maybe he is the answer to those issues. But is he the best fit at 13th overall? Let's break it down in today's video. Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to Amateur Hour Sports. This is the YouTube channel dedicated to Toronto Raptors coverage in videos, live streams, and shorts. Over the next week or so, I'm going to have tons of draft content just like this coming out on the channel, so if that is of interest to you, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And over the course of the entire offseason, I have tons of videos coming out covering everything Raptors, so make sure you have that notification bell turned on as well, so you never miss out on any of the uploads. Coming into his sophomore season, Jordan Hawkins was one of the key candidates, one of the most popular candidates to break out, and he certainly did not disappoint. He was likely the key figure in UConn winning the NCAA Championship this season and was impressive all the way through the NCAA tournament, March Madness, etc. But what a great season he had in his second season, which has really thrusted him up draft boards into the first round and potentially into the late lottery considerations for teams like the Toronto Raptors. Jordan Hawkins is emerging as one of, if not the best shooters in the draft, and easily the best movement shooter in the draft. The Toronto Raptors this season, we spoke about it. There were depth issues, there was lack of shooting, and Jordan Hawkins could be somebody that fills in the void and really helps Masai Ujiri expedite the process of getting this team help off the bench, getting this team depth, and getting this team shooting. So what we're going to do in today's video, first of all, we're going to go a little bit more deeper into exactly who Jordan Hawkins is. Then we're going to discuss what he produced in his sophomore season at UConn from a statistical standpoint. We're going to go then into his strengths, his weaknesses, and we're going to finish off with a player comparable. And again, these player comparables, these are the type of guys that the Raptors need on their team. If they can fit anything like these player comparables I'm going to list, then we have a great pick potentially at 13th overall. But who exactly is Jordan Hawkins? You know about who he is a little bit. Sophomore season at the University of Conneticutt, 6'5", which is a good height for a player in this position. The ability to guard the shooting guard slot, also the ability to guard in the point guard slot. The wingspan isn't anything ridiculous. It's 6'7" here, but the draft age can be a little bit of a hesitation here. He's 21 years old. There are other prospects we're going to speak about on this channel who are 19, who just turned 19, who are about to turn 20. So as far as the room for development, maybe there is a little bit less here, but there are certain things that Jordan Hawkins is elite at, which could make you overlook this and think that we don't really need to work on too much. He's already at the levels near what we would want him to be at the NBA level. So let's discuss now what he produced in that sophomore season to shoot so far up these NBA draft boards, because, well, the scoring was excellent. And we saw the run to the championship for Jordan Hawkins in the University of Connecticut, but along the way, he produced 16.2 points per game and was a free scoring player from three, which we'll get to as well. The assists, nothing to really look twice at, 1.3 assists per game. The rebounds as well, nothing overly incredible in this one either, 3.8 rebounds per game. Where we see some interesting stats are in the efficiency categories. Jordan Hawkins was not an efficient player from the field. If you look at it plainly like this, shot 40.9% from the field, actually shot just above it was only just above 45% on twos this season, but where we see the key statistic in his game is that three-point shooting. Jordan Hawkins was electric from the outside, shooting just under 39% from three. Like I said, one of the very best, if not the best shooter coming out of this draft class, and also showed those mechanics off at the line as well, shooting nearly 90% from the line, just under 89% there, as we can see in the graphics. So Jordan Hawkins, what he does best, his bread and butter, is shooting that three ball, and it is those shooting mechanics. We'll have to talk about things that need to change, because even though he is taking over 7 3-point attempts per game, we need to get that 2-point percentage up to have success, more success at the NBA level. But there certainly are some strengths with this player. Let's go into those now. Jordan Hawkins, the shooting mechanics and the movement shooting. that is what you're looking for in this player. Sure, there are other great things that you want to see with Jordan Hawkins, but at the end of the day, you're drafting him to play a specific role for your team. You're drafting him to be a shooter, and he does that. He is an excellent, excellent distance shooter. Can sometimes come in and use it in mid-range as well. He'll have to work on doing like 1 or 2 dribbles to get it on the inside, especially when he gets played off the three-point line, which inevitably he will at the next level. But the movement shooting is what is so enticing about him. Oh my goodness, the Raptors are desperate for some movement shooters. His off-ball movement is so fun to watch. His ability to get space, the ability to get separation. He's a twitchy athlete as well. So yeah, he can use that with the ball in his hands, but he can also use that off ball to get himself open. Getting that separation is so key. There are so many great three-point shooters. Like, I remember the Raptors had Matt Thomas, one of the most electric three-point shooters I've ever seen. But if they can't get open for three, then it's nonsense. They can't do anything. He can shoot off the catch. He can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot off movement. Everything you need shooting-wise, he is so diverse with the way he can get his shots up. But moving further down the list as well, there are some other things that we want to consider with the strength, and that is his footwork as well. His footwork when he gets in on the inside, his footwork when he is getting that separation. He's a really smart basketball player, uses his feet really well. You can really tell he's worked on his craft, he's worked on his game, and you can get that sense from the footwork. He's also using his shooting gravity. He started to do it a little bit better as this season wore on. Started getting played off the three-point line, as I mentioned, which is a good trend to see before he gets to the NBA. Uses curls really well to get off screens and then drive inside. And has grown in the tendencies and the abilities to find the open player off of the players, really playing up on him, really using that shooting gravity to his advantage. One player we saw do that in the NBA Finals recently was Duncan Robinson, getting those dribble handoffs and driving inside before making a better decision than normal in those areas. We'll want to see Jordan Hawkins improve in those decision-making areas, but using that gravity, he's aware of his talent there, and that's something that we do like to see as well. He's also a very capable defender. He uses lateral quickness very well. He's a very good athlete for 6'5", and for somebody who shoots the ball so well, that will definitely offer some versatility to the Raptors and what role they want to use him in going forward. And with that quickness, we see him great in transition as well. If you're not picking him up in transition, he is definitely going to make you pay. But defensively, going back to that, he certainly holds his own. He's not a spectacular defender, but holds his own in 1v1 coverages, can guard the shooting guard and the point guard positions, and knows what to do off ball. Is a smart off ball player, knows the positioning very well. Again, nothing tremendous, but doesn't get played off the floor in these areas. Last one that we have here is the 3-and-D projections. One, like I said earlier, you're really going to be drafting this guy to play a specific role for your team. I don't think you're drafting this guy for the insane upside, the superstar potential, the star potential. You're drafting him to be elite at his role, and the projections are he has a chance, a big chance to be elite in that 3-and-D role. So you get the sense of what we like with the player. You get the sense of what role he's going to play in his NBA career. But what are the things that he needs to work on to maintain or get to these levels at the NBA? Well, the weaknesses, there are some certain things that surely we need to highlight here. First of all, we saw with the 2-point percentage being just above 45%, the interior aggression isn't really there. The interior scoring isn't really there. I say interior aggression because he didn't really get to the rim enough. And when he does, he is like great above the rim finishing. Like, he's a great athlete, but he doesn't do it a lot. And perhaps part of the reason why he doesn't do it a lot is because he's just not very astute at finishing in those areas. Needs to maybe add in a bit of a floater game, but his layup package isn't the best. He's great when he has a runway and he can get to the rim. Like, he's, like I said, a twitchy athlete, finishes above the rim, gets up very, very well. But when there's people in the way, when there's people in those spaces, he is not a great finisher there. Like, he's just got to add in a bit extra there and not just be very one-dimensional with that three-point game. He can be a bit streaky as well with his shooting. Obviously a great shooter, but does it in spells. But what's good about this as well is that he doesn't let that dwell on him. He doesn't let misses dwell on him. He's always ready to take the next shot. I would say that's a good thing. He's got the attention span of a goldfish, so he's ready to go out and ready to hit the next three-point jump shot. That's good to see, but he can be a little bit streaky. The consistency is going to be key at the next level. Part of the reason why he also may struggle to get in on the inside is ball handling just isn't the best. He comes off screens. He's a great movement guy, but when he's face-to-face with a defender, doesn't really have a lot in his bag to get by them, doesn't really have a lot in his bag to generate those open opportunities at the rim. Like I said, like, he's here to play a specific role. He's not here to have the ball in his hand all the time, and this is definitely a negative as far as how he's going to grow further in his career. But like, hey, depending on if you're using him for the role I see NBA teams using him for, this shouldn't be as great of a concern. But along with the ball handling, he's not great with his offhand. That's in dribbling. That's in finishing at the rim. Needs to get better at finishing with his left hand to have a little bit extra to throw at NBA defenses. And because his ball handling has struggled, because he doesn't have a great left hand, the assist to turnover ratio has been negative in both his seasons with UConn. We saw the 1.3 assists per game that he put up this season. He had 1.4 turnovers per game. So I'm not as concerned when it comes to his shooting guard with those categories, but yeah, like he's going to be a little bit one-dimensional for now because the three-point shooting is there, but the other stuff maybe quite isn't just there for Jordan Hawkins yet. This also kind of fills in with the interior aggression. He's not the most physical player, so he doesn't go through contact very well, but more importantly, I'm thinking about this defensively. If he's picking up opposition shooting guards, especially movement shooters, he doesn't fight through screens the best because he's not as physical. Definitely needs to build up his frame a little bit so he doesn't get lost on defense. And there's a little bit of a tendency to gamble on defense. That improved as the season went on, but had a few reaching fouls, is a little bit foul prone, is a little bit prone to trying to overstep into passing lanes and gets burned, but mostly it's the fouls that are caused by this. But that's not something I'm overly concerned about for the NBA level, but there are certainly things that Jordan Hawkins needs to work on. But there were tons of great things to like about the player as well. There were plenty of great things to like about him that would suggest he can get himself to a really good role in the NBA. And if you look at these player comparables here, he can fit the mold of some guys who are very strong in their roles in the NBA. First of all, what I see with the movement shooting is flashes of JJ Redick. Jordan Hawkins is a little bit taller than JJ Redick, but one of the very best I've ever seen in the NBA at generating separation, getting open off ball is JJ Redick, and Jordan Hawkins showing flashes of that. And if he's anything like the JJ Redick off ball movement, he is going to have so many great shooting opportunities for three. It's just down to him knocking down those shots. Where I also see some parallels is in Malik Beasley. Now, I get he didn't have a great end of season with the Lakers, wasn't getting any play time in the playoffs, but yeah, just using that gravity as well. Not the greatest finisher on the inside, but using that shooting gravity, maybe a little bit streaky at times, but using that shooting gravity to get some space inside. Like the only way Malik Beasley is able to navigate on the inside is using the shooting gravity to his advantage. Maybe doesn't finish at the rim the best, but has that jump shot, has that specific role for the team, moves well off ball, and is a capable defender. So I think JJ Redick for the off-ball movement and a lot of other things we see with Malik Beasley. And does this fit with what the Raptors need? The Raptors are in desperate need of adding in 2 movement shooters this offseason, and there's not going to be a ton of cap space to go out and do that. Whether they want to be a winning team or a development team this season, like give your guys the right tools to develop by giving them more space on the inside by bringing in movement shooters. But I think we have the full mid-level exception. I think we have the biannual exception as well. Not going to be a lot of space, and there's just not a lot of movement shooters out there to go and pick up. So can you find that in the draft with Jordan Hawkins? Look, I think that there are some great candidates available at 13th overall. Big fan of Cason Wallace. Big fan of Kobe Buffkin. But if Cason Wallace, who was my number 1 guy, is off the board, yeah, you might think, hey, let's just sign the guy that's going to play that elite role for us. Already is such a good three-point shooter. So at the very least, the floor is very high for Jordan Hawkins because he's already such a great three-point shooter and already moves off the ball so well. If you can just hone in on a couple of more specific talents to elevate his game for the next level, he's going to be a great role player for your team. At the very least, a role player in some capacity. I think he can come out and do it from day one. That makes him a very intriguing player for the Raptors to definitely look at in this spot. But what do you guys think? Do you think Jordan Hawkins is the answer for the Raptors shooting problems? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I have tons of draft profiles coming up in the next week, so get subscribed to the channel, drop a like if you did enjoy, and make sure to hit that notification bell as well so you never miss out on any of the future videos. I'll see you again next time for another video on Amateur Hour Sports.